Hello and welcome to Secrets to Success. My name is Oletilwe Ramashala and I'm the host and executive producer of this very much needed show where we aim to empower and equip men and women around climbing the corporate ladder and having a seat at the table. Today we're blessed to have an esteemed guest, the MD of the BMF, which is the Black Management Forum, Mr. Monde Ndlovu. Mr. Ndlovu, thank you so much for joining us. It's much an honor to have you.
No, thank you very much for the invitation. We could not resist coming because you asked so nicely.
I'm glad. So I think we're just so inspired by, what you're doing, the seats that you're actually occupying and what the BMF is all about. But I actually want to take a more personal approach in terms of finding out who you are, what inspired you to be a leader. And if we can start from there.
Sure. No, thank you very much. I think there's a variety of layers in terms of inspiration. It is what you're exposed to, the people you're exposed to. Some are inspired by the books they read, the people they encounter, the experiences that we go through in and of them itself are inspirational as well, whether they be good or bad, they are. So one of the major people that inspired me was definitely my late father.
Oh, wow.
So both my parents, there's been moments where they have said and done things that have changed the course of my own trajectory as a leader. So, but I'll be honest with you, in terms of did I decide to be a leader?
Yeah.
Was it a decision? And I never saw myself as a leader. I've never looked at myself as that way, or even tried to define myself as that person. I would want to make decisions, be inspired by what's happening in the moment. At some point, I was an activist.
Oh, wow. Okay.
When I was a teenager, and there were reasons for that. But the decision to sit down and say, Monde is a leader, is a conversation I don't have with myself per se. Even today, I don't sit down and say, okay, you're a leader. It says, no, we're responsible for certain things. We believe in certain things. We are driven by causes. What cause is driving? That's you or driving me. And as I say, I've always been an activist. Transformation activist, at some point, Black consciousness, activist as a teenager, raising those issues, making my high school very uncomfortable about Black issues. And that was not coming from a point of saying, I'm a leader. It was coming from a point of, I see a problem.
And cause, yeah.
There's a problem here. I think, these issues need to be raised. And I started to raise those issues. And I always leave that defining of who I am to other people. If they define me as a leader, that's how they view me to be. I don't have an ambition to lead. I have a conviction to make a difference.
Okay. No, that's powerful. And being an activist is a form of leadership because you're influencing people towards a certain cause that you feel so strongly about. Can you share a pivotal moment in your career that significantly shaped you as an individual and your leadership style?
I think that there's quite a few, and I'm sure you've noticed I answer things in my own way. So I'll answer your questions in my own way. So there's a concept which I picked up along the way with a variety of mentors I have. It's called a personal board of directors. And we know the makeup of boards, etc. But when you personalize it, when you understand that you are sharing your journey with others, it does not exclusively belong to you. It belongs to others as well. So you are sharing, you're carrying the weight together. And when you come across situations, you go to those that are helping you carry that journey with you. So we're all working together in trying to achieve certain ends, particular objectives, either as professionals or business people, or leaders in general. So one of the moments I was in and out of the BMF environment some years ago, and I won't realize that I'm being watched. In and out, I'm doing what I'm doing, in and out. And one day, a starlet of the BMF, one of them pulls me aside, says, "Monde, make sure that you and I meet. I've got a present for you." I go, "Okay, you got a gift for me." All right. Okay. All right. So the starlets of the BMF, even then, I mean, I would tiptoe around them. And I hadn't met most of them even at that time. So she pulled me aside, "No, and I've got something for you. Make sure you come and see me." And then I do get her details and go and see him. That was a significant moment because she put herself out there to say, "I want to see you succeed as a leader. Number one. Number two, I'm going to pay for you to do an Enneagram test."
Oh, wow. Okay.
Out of my own pocket. Because it's important that you understand your leadership style and your management style at the same time. So she went and paid for that, and then we debriefed 44-page feedback on the test, and we went through it together, discussed a host of things. That was one turning point. The realization that there are people who want your best interest at heart. There are people who go out of their way to want to help you. There are people who put their own resources to help you. And they see something in you when you think no one is paying attention. So someone is always paying attention, and people always want the best for you. And that's one turning point for me in taking my leadership style very seriously, and it also scientific as well, from scientific side. So we unpack that. And then, so every now and then,
go back to your 44 pages.
So you go back to the 44 pages. Is this really me? Because is this really me? She says, "Yeah, why do you say it's not you?" So, and also she's a life coach and all of that. So she is passionate about mentoring young talent.
Yes.
And bring that up. And the thing is, when you're exposed to such people, and you don't do the same, it haunts you.
100%.
And the amount of investment other people put in you, it definitely, pushes you down a certain path to say, who am I bringing up or mentoring, or sharing these concepts with and exposing them, etc. So that was a key moment. Another key moment, and I'm not mentioning names, so which is fine, unless you want to know them. But
we do want to know them.
So that one was Cecilia Kuzwayo.
Oh, wow.
She's a former deputy president of the BMF as well. We also had Mlanem Tulzi's as well, playing a role in my development, forcing me into certain spaces. He did that, almost manhandling in a positive way, forcing me in certain spaces, pushing the line, and opening up opportunities for development as well. And I've had other leaders as well that I've encountered with, Mr. Ntetonyati.
I love that man.
amazing man. And when you sit down with, Ntetonyati, then they also tell you who inspired them. And the person there was my father.
Wow.
And my father gave him his first job in 1986, I think it was, in his book. So he writes about that as well. So that was an interesting, exchange, and many people. So there's many of them. The board of directors, the personal board of directors. There's many of them around, wanting to see me succeed. The other day, I was invited to an engagement in the evening, and just a brief conversation with Mafuti Mtoba, and Mafuti Mtoba says to me, "Monde, we're watching you."
Wow. No pressure.
No pressure. But it's good. It's good.
Because it holds you accountable.
It holds us accountable. And when there's something that they are worried about, they will pick up the phone and phone you or send you, a text or meet for coffee. So the personal board of directors is a very powerful concept.
Let's touch on that, Monde, because I think I'm also blessed to have a lot of mentors. When I first started, I think this is how the show came about in terms of assisting people to find a voice and climb up the corporate ladder, or even people who want to aspire into having their own businesses, right? But you touched on mentorship, and it brings me to this quote, Warren Buffett, that says, someone is sitting in the shade because someone planted a seed a long time ago. So that speaks to what your dad did for the EMF and everybody else, and you're reaping the rewards. My parents were teachers, and they did similar, adopted a whole lot of people. I had brothers and sisters that they fought for to go to different schools, etc., for free.
Yeah.
And so that's where the concept of, assisting and lifting as you rise. But I wouldn't be where I'm at if I didn't have someone who took a chance on me. So you speak about a personal board of directors. I like that concept. I've never used it, but I'm going to steal it from now onwards. But I think a lot of us are over-mentored and under-sponsored, right? And I think for corporate, I'm going to speak for me because I've been in the financial industry all my life. And I've only, realized the importance of having someone who would advocate, who has a more powerful seat for you and takes a chance and advocates for you. So can you take us, around your definition of what mentorship is? You've touched on it, but can we go deeper into that? The role is played in your life and the form of sponsorship and what that's done for you as well.
So scientifically, there is a difference between mentorship, sponsorship, and coaching, which we don't talk a lot about. So sometimes we just use the word mentor to cover all spectrum, but in reality, they play a fundamentally different role to sponsors. Sometimes mentors are sponsors.
Yeah, that's true.
It's quite critical to do so. So I think where there has been a greater challenge is in the sponsorship side, because almost anyone can give you advice. Almost anyone, you can almost sit with almost anyone, and I mean literally almost anyone. Even the old lady you bump into when you take a walk at the mall, you can almost request an audience with almost anybody. And this is not a professional's thing, right? It is a life thing. In life, generally, you are able to talk to anybody because we are relatable beings. So that is what undergirds mentorship. We just try to formalize it to kind of say, let's meet on a regular basis.
That's true.
To discuss whatever it is that you want to talk about across the spectrum. The role of a sponsor is specifically dealing with opening opportunities. Mentors, not necessarily, because anyone can give you advice.
Yeah.
No, read that book and read that book. But where it counts the most is someone stepping in your upper to really take a chance on you, to drive opening up opportunities. And this is why organizations like BMF must continue to exist. Because one of the ways in which you drive transformation is that you must be a sponsor. It's a sponsored view. So on the one hand, you are assisted by legislation. On the other hand, you must implement it within your organization, which means you must find out who in the organization needs to be sponsored. And that is why then networking becomes even more important. And Black people don't really like networking in a corporate sense. It's usually, it's that dinner with so-and-so. I'm not sure if I want to go. But you may want to go to a dinner, so to go have free food, etc. But we've got to be skillful about that. But my emphasis on the sponsorship aspect is that the drive to transform at a corporate level or a high echelons leadership level is dependent on Black executives putting their heads on the block to drive the agenda and finding people within the organization or outside that they must sponsor and drive forward. Right? So that is a work you cannot outsource. No one can outsource that. It's either you're going to do it or you won't. And that is why we find more white people sponsoring black people.
That's so true. That's so true.
So that is an anomaly. It's an anomaly. It doesn't make sense. Why would you find more white people sponsoring black people in transformation? Why are black people holding back in driving and putting their heads on the block to create space for other black people, whether it's within the corporate or it's within the supply chain, etc., or in procurement, or being deliberate exposes your own value system and exposes who you really are as a leader. So, and that is where we are lacking quite a bit in terms of how far we sponsor and the activist role that you want to play out there. And I would not be where I am today if there were no sponsors.
Well, yours majority black, I would assume. So I know we speak about white people sponsoring us more.
Correct.
But in your personal journey?
Correct. So where I am now, I don't think I would be where I am now in this particular role in the BMF if there were no people who said, let's give this gentleman an opportunity to come and lead the Black Management Forum. I was not in those conversations. I obviously applied, and I called for an interview. Okay, went for an interview. And then from there, it's completely out of your hands. And it's left to the judgment of those who are making decisions. So they took that opportunity to do that. And being appointed at age 35 at the time, when the announcement was made, on the young side of being given such a great responsibility. So that is the boldness that is required. Now, even if it doesn't go well, in taking a chance on people, it doesn't mean the principle must not be practiced.
That's true.
It says, in fact, you look forward to people having shortcomings so that you can keep building them up. So you're not appointed because you're necessarily the best around. That is not actually true. Even psychologically. It's not true psychologically. It's subjective.
And say, what have you actively done within your organization to break the barriers for women and advocate for them and sponsor and mentor them? I was very privileged. In fact, most of my mentors are black females. Most of my sponsors are black females. I do have a few males, white males, who help me. But I guess it's a comfort thing, and people who also took a keen interest in me and said, hey, let's walk this journey together. But you're speaking it, and I'm like, but Monde, where are you actively doing it? Can you show us how? How you've shattered that and, disrupted that in terms of transforming your space.
So personally, number one, I've always taken a decision that I'm going to fight. Like how I was found, then someone would drag me out. I would want to identify which black woman can I support in the BMF. We do a lot of dialogues, discussions, etc. It's just one example. I would deliberately look for a black woman and a young black woman and say to her, are you a member of BMF? There's another one actually as we speak now. I've been tracking down, say, hey, I want to deploy you somewhere in the BMF. Can you please sort out your membership so that I can then take it from there to say, can we then see how you can actively participate in the organization? There's another committee. There's an EXCO committee where deliberately ensuring that we need women to lead. So one of the chairpersons of one of my EXCO committees is a woman, right? And holds a PhD as well. So I'm actively doing it because it's a decision that I've taken that I want to find black women who are brilliant, and they're there. They must be given the space to do so. Then we create the space And you lobby people as well, depending where you want to deploy them to participate. So that's how I've done it, and that's how I'm doing it as well, to say, with the little power that I have, with the little power that I have,
That's all.
I want to see more Black women come through, and also to also say this: my successor must be a Black woman. So I've made those.
I'm to that.
No problem.
Well, where's it look?
No problem. No problem. So you must hold me to that, because I have made that for myself, to say it must be a Black woman who takes over, as much as the decision is going to rest with the board.
Of course.
But my succession recommendation is going to be, it needs to be a Black woman who takes from me completely. Even within my team as well. I mean, there's a lot of women there. My head of finance is a woman. Head of marketing is a woman. So they are there as well. And so also pushing the line, pushing them to get exposure, to participate, and also to make a difference. So there's a very little that I have done.
Okay.
And there's still more that still needs to be done as well in the space.
So I just wanted to know also, like, let's rope it back to leadership, because sometimes it can look very glamorous. One day is talking at Gibbs, at Henley Business School, at, every platform. And for someone who's looking up to you and aspiring to be a leader, an authentic leader such as yourself, it's not always apparent that there's a lot of things at the back that you're dealing with, right? I'm speaking from personal experience, that I get a lot of people saying, how did you make it? How did you get there? And I don't even think I'm halfway where I would like to be. But I just wanted to, talk about the challenges that you experience as a leader and how you've overcome those.
Well, leadership is... so there's leadership at a personal level.
Yeah.
There's leadership at a family level. There's leadership at a community level. Things are engaged in the community. There's leadership at a corporate level. So there's different layers of leadership as well. I'm part of a leadership collective. We're looking at, the executives I work with, and then also the board as well to work with. There's leadership. That's all leadership there. Then the BMF providing leadership in particular areas in the country. So providing solutions or direction to specific things. So I would say, firstly, it's understanding the different layers of leadership and where you find yourself in providing direction. And all spheres have got challenges. And leadership is lonely.
Say it again. That hit a nerve. Because it's so true.
Leadership is lonely.
Yeah.
Leadership is difficult because you're leading people, you're leading yourself, you're leading ideas, you're leading processes. So that our philosophical understanding in the BMF, we talk managerial leadership.
Yeah.
Now, business school teaches us to separate management and leadership because these are two separate things.
Wow.
But in the BMF, we collided. We talk managerial leadership. The whole point is that we want to develop people who are holistic and not one-dimensional. Even though within management and leadership, there's not one dimension, but in terms of the concepts, the core concepts, you don't want to be one-dimensional.
Yeah.
Right? So we want to have both spheres colliding within an individual, understanding legitimate power or legitimacy, authorizers, people who've got the power and legally to do things. There's management, and then there's processes that you need to understand. You plug and play. This tea is poured this way. It's drunk like this at this time. There's not a lot of time to think. There's not a lot of thought. The thought comes in how do you create the processes, but once they run, you have to just manage it. So understand this moves here, this is how this moves, this is how this department operates, this is the process when we reach financial year end, right? So you need to understand how far are we, what is the audit plan, that's processing. You need to understand the processes. That's not leadership. So when you then talk about leadership, then we're talking about the ability to influence people and the ability to inspire people, to walk with people. So it's legitimate power on one side, which you are given legally to exercise. On the other side, there's no legitimate power. You're dealing with a completely different, unique concept because you're dealing with people. So you got to learn to inspire people, understand people, work with people, give them space to become.
That's true.
Management is not about that. So processes, so you've got to be a process person and a people's person. And that's that's our philosophy. We want you to be both process and people. Don't just be about process and don't just be about people. But understand how things work and how they work and why they work. Then get into understanding people. How do people think? Why do they think the way they do? How do we lead them? How do we inspire them? Where are we taking them? Why are we taking them? How long are we taking them?
That's true.
And when do we let them go?
Sure.
So that is the challenges of being in the positions that we are privileged to be in. And these are borrowed positions. They do not belong to us. It is borrowed time. That is why I don't understand why some people would be arrogant in positions of power. But in fact, it reveals true character. When you have power, then we see who you really are.
Yeah.
When you have resources, then we see who you really are. But until then, it's not that easy. But once you are given that, then we see that. But it's borrowed time. It's borrowed power because you're accountable for it. But what will outlive you is how you lead people more than what you lead in terms of process. Because you can be replaced in the what easily. But in the how to lead people, no one can replace you because you are unique as an individual and you connect in a certain way and you drive certain thoughts and ideas of being as human beings. That's what we all cry for more than processes. And people resign not because of the processes, they resign because of
the person. Yeah, they're managers. That's true.
So, and that is also come out in research. So we've got a people problem.
Yeah.
Which means it's a leadership problem more than it is a management problem.
So now I'm intrigued, Monde. Like, how many of these courses, because I want to sign up now. Like, we've said a mouthful in terms of, I love the concept of it's a borrowed position and borrowed time. And, we all know that saying, people will always remember you by how you made them feel. And so it kind of encapsulates all that you've shared. So tell us a bit about some of the courses. And then lastly, if I'm an aspirational leader, what would you say to the younger version of you?
Yeah.
So you can motivate someone who says, wow, I want to be more in this.
You see why I don't do podcasting? Or don't do much podcast. Sure. So when you talk about, firstly, the courses in the BMF, so just simply put, our philosophy, you got to plug into the BMF in order then grow in the BMF. As much as we have like your Duke Women Empower program.
I've done that program, many years ago.
So you've done that program. We still have it. We've got the MLDP program. And others, the Directors Association as well.
Okay, that's
as well. So, and there's others that we're working on. Henry Business School is coming on board on a few things. So we're really driving that. But even those programs, by the way, they won't necessarily explicitly teach you the philosophy of managerial leadership per se.
Wow.
They'll still give you the concepts. But it is in our articulation, it is in our dialoguing it is in our observation and exposure to each other where you truly learn that actually there's much more to me just being in corporate or just being a business leader or there's much more to this. And the more we spend time together, it becomes even more obvious. So the more time we spend together, you look at the stalwarts, you can tell every time they're in your presence and you talk to them, and they are still trying to reach for the stars in leading ethically and leading the best way possible and being competent at the same time. So it is being exposed to the organization and its philosophy on a regular basis where you are able to glean on this philosophy. Can't learn it from outside. We can articulate it, you can hear us talking about it there far, but you've got to plug into the organization yourself and learn from everybody else and participate in the space. But those who don't plug in and participate will always look from the outside.
Yeah.
And of course, when we partner with institutions and other organizations, it is based on principled alliances.
Yes.
You know, we don't partner with everybody.
Yeah.
We partner with people who are aligned. The alliance must be principled. The stakeholders must be principled, align on our principles as an organization. So it is being part of the lifeblood of the organization where that philosophy comes to life within you over time, that you can see that there's much more to who I am. And hence, over time, by the way, personal mastery has taken such a big turn here. You look at the business schools, people were talking more about personal mastery. And in fact, COVID has also catapulted, especially, personal mastery, understanding yourself better with your purpose, why you're here. And most of us have enjoyed personal mastery and others not, by the way, at business school. I was just people who didn't like personal mastery. Why must you self-reflect? So they would argue against it. But it's important to dig deep within. And that understanding of leading, or that aspect of leadership, is something that's part of our philosophy. We've got to be reflective people to find out where we are, who we are, and the BMF keeps raising the bar. Even our leaders, like I'm saying, our standards, they don't behave as if they've reached the pinnacle, which is for me a humbling thought. Some of them are twice my age, but they don't behave like they have accomplished everything and they don't behave like it. But you find some of us who are much younger who behave as... So there's a disconnect.
Yeah.
And the best way is to realign that disconnect is to plug into the organization, plug into the philosophy, to drink of the well of the BMFs and then try to grow within that philosophy. Process and people. Your second question.
Yes.
What did I say to my...
what would you say to your younger version of Monde in closing? But I think we've touched on so many and I had so many follow-up questions, but I know we've got limited time. But you seem like quite a reader, so I'd like you to also integrate that into your closing. I'm picking up on a lot. You mentioned personal mastery. You mentioned so many things. I'm like, no, Monde is a reader. You're definitely a reader. So maybe if someone who's aspiring, like I said, to reach the heights that you've reached, what books would you recommend? And then, speaking to the younger version of Monde, because there's a lot of young Mondes out there that are looking up to you. You've mentioned that this is borrowed time, so we'd just like to know, while we are given that borrowed time in that position, how do we make it most effective? Yeah, that's it.
On the matter of a younger version, I would say that, and I say it now or not to younger people, life is not over.
Yeah.
irrespective of whether you've reached or accomplished your goals. Everyone is in this race. They're not even sure what we're racing about. You hit 2021, still not sure what you want to do. And others give up along the way, not sure of where they're going, even what they're studying or have studied. One of the best advices that I got, from my parents is that there is no knowledge that is not usable at some point in your life. So if you've picked this up and then you didn't quite enjoy it and then you went and studied something else, and all knowledge is usable and translatable and transposable and transformative. You have to be awake to that reality of when it will be triggered. So life is not over. It's far from over. So the younger version of me, take up all the opportunities that you can, read more, conceptualize more. I love to conceptualize. I love to ideate, come up with models, and it's not over. That would be my key message. Life is not over, and because it's not over, and the sun will rise tomorrow, it still rises.
Sure.
And the sun still sets.
Yeah.
So opportunities do rise, and they do set. And your time will also rise, and it will set. So we are living on borrowed time. It's not over, and you are unique. We are unique, and appreciate every moment that you get, and build relationships. One of the things that I would be a closed-up person, right? So I wouldn't easily just meet people when I was much younger. I would challenge myself.
So like an introvert.
Yeah, I'm still an introvert.
I don't think you're an introvert.
I'm still an introvert.
Okay.
And but just learning to work with your strengths. And it's not over. And there's so many things linked to it's not over. I've just highlighted just briefly some of them.
And you can't leave us hanging one.
So
we want to drink from your well. So what are these books that you're reading that we could, take some sort of motivation from?
I'll be honest with you. I'm not as a big reader as you are suspecting.
Really?
No. No, okay. I'm not a big reader as you suspect. The experimentation of writing and expressing. Okay. I'll just give you another example now. Some time ago, I was part of other board committees of the BMF, and then they would ask me to just write a context document for the speaker or whatever. And I would write that. The committee would say, you're a good writer. I'm like, not me. You serious? Today, I've written quite a number of articles.
Sure.
So what I'm saying on the issue of reading is, as much as you want to drink,
yes,
you must also bequeath.
Yes.
So don't just drink and be full, but you must bequeath. You must express. And for me, when I approach books, whether I'm reading a Lincoln Manley's book on blazing a trail, in my mind, as I'm reading his story, I'm putting myself there, and I wonder, what idea is he bringing across? It might be a 300 and something page book, but what idea is he bringing across? Blaze your own trail. That's all he's saying. So once you get that concept, that blaze your own trail, then you must find your own story in blazing a trail somewhere, right? In corporate, in life, in family. And he goes into those areas. How he met his wife, how he grew up politically, how some of his friends were sponsors. Mr. Shabalala, Group CEO of Standard Bank, called him up to Standard Bank. It's in his book.
Yes.
So what is that one idea or two ideas that they are conveying? That's how my mind works. When I read something, write something, I want to tap into what idea or thought are you bringing across. If it takes you 600 pages to get it across, that's fine.
But you've done incredibly well, and I'm sure your late father is incredibly proud of you.
No, thank you.
It's been such an honor and a privilege to sit with you and really just get some words of wisdom, and I could go on and on and on. But thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
No, thank you very much. Thank you for having us. May your show continue to grow, and may it get the necessary support that it must get for it to get to people that must hear what you have to say through.
Well, that was Mr. Monde Ndlovu, the Managing Director of the Black Management Forum, on what it takes to be an effective leader. I'm sure you can agree with me that there were so many powerful nuggets that were shared on borrowed time and us living on borrowed positions. To learn more about Secrets to Success, please do like, share, follow us on all our social media platforms. From me, Oletilwe Ramashala, it's been an absolute pleasure hosting you. See you next time. Have you ever wondered what it takes to become an effective leader and have a seat at the table, or perhaps own your own empire? Well, wonder no more. Take a journey with me. Like, share, subscribe on all our social media platforms on Secrets to Success with Oletilwe Ramashala.